Okay. Um. So this was your own design, and as I said, I'm just going to make some improvements, some adjustments on them. So as I mentioned, you need to like make the button a bit more prominent so that you know that it's the button that will be pressed. Um. So I've done that here. We still need to think about accessibility, but then everything is one step at a time, one step at a time. So the main thing is just to try and think through the structure of what you are designing and why you're designing it, and what the you want the user to do. If or when they are using that product. So making this button more prominent is there. I mean, even if it's the only thing that is there, at least it gives that idea of something that is interactable and not just a text being there, even if it's the only item there. And we'll go on to the next onboarding page there. Like I said, since the illustration is just what is there, make it a bit more prominent and remove the background so that it sort of blends better with the screen. The issue of the accessibility and clearness should be discussed um, as one progresses. So, and this Lauren Ipsum, you need to like change it, at least for title and onboarding screens like this. It's better use something a bit more contextual there. So if you know, okay, this is depending on what kind of product you're doing, right? It should inform what the kind of title it should be. But if it was just maybe it's a blog design and you have a long length of text, of course, for then you can use the lorem ipsum, and even then it should be temporarily. And before you put it to the developer, you must have now changed it to real copy. So in this case, anything that you're designing, it has to be logical in the sense that you don't want to confuse the user. So every item there should be having a story to tell, basically. It's not an art that okay, it has a subjective interpretation of it, like an artist a sculpture or anything. No, it's design, which is basically trying to solve a problem. So anything that is going to be on that screen or on any screen, it has to have a part that it's playing. If not, it's just going to be creating cognitive overload for the user, and which we don't want. Because once that begins to happen, the user begins to feel more kind of like overdoing it, overthinking it, and you find yourself losing to the competition because people want something that they can easily navigate. So in view of that, you have to make sure that every content that is placed on that screen has its own um, part, its own role to play. So what I'm trying to say is that now this illustration is not just an illustration. It gives you an idea of what this particular home screen now is about. Now, from so that should in a way inform what your title should be. So that's why I said for onboarding screens or title pages, you should avoid. That's why I said for title and onboarding screens, we try to like avoid using lorem ipsum there, since they're just a short text. So you use the context of what you're designing to kind of like guide you to do it. Why if it's a longer text then lorem ipsum works. So based on the illustration here now, you could use a and what you're designing for. This is a health app. So you can say a doctor, you can say a user. This can give you an idea of what to put here. It can give you an idea of what to put here, like you can use one-on-one. So you're trying to drive a product. So we want the user, what is this about? One-on-one consultation with experts for your health, for your health needs. So it's just to give a context of what you're designing for, right? And that should help one to design this page. Because before one begins to design, obviously you would know what you're designing, what product you're designing, who your users are, right? So all these things should now give you what the value proposition for the user. So once you do that, you get an idea. Now this can obviously be reviewed and changed before final deployment. Yes, but in the onset, you should have that context so that as you're designing, you are knowing what you're designing for. And knowing what you're designing for, you know, okay, what kind of features. Now, okay, this is one-on-one consultation. That means that I'll probably need a feature like a call feature, a messaging feature, or a search feature now so that I can be able to search for these experts. So once you give this kind of information, it's not just you're also helping yourself because now you're reducing what you need to look for based on your previous research of the work. Research of the work. So that is one thing there. That's one thing there. So this button, this loader, not loader screen, this ellipsis for loading screen. To be frank, I was a bit confused when I saw it at first, right? So I think it's best safe. There are some things that are safer to follow the norm so that the user is not confused on why he or she is in that place in the first place. So you try to use some basic elements that are already known or common so as not to end up confusing your user. So you're just using the simple circular button and a rectangular. Now it can vary. It depends to you. You can decide to just use them. uh, you can decide to just use them as a circle like this and change the color, right? So it's not a must that it must have this sort of swap button, but it should be something that is pretty much consistent and familiar, so that you know, okay, this is a screen that is showing other screens, right? So yeah, it's something that I would tinker around with. So let's just stick with this one, which is sort of what you did, right? Just put that there, and I think the next thing is this is preference, right? But trying to like reduce um a choice. So we could probably put this skip up, okay? We could probably put that skip up so that because the skip now it has to be in relation. Because if you notice in your second screen now, we're seeing a skip and the next. Normally, I'd probably want to see back, so that because this is a back and this is a next, so it gives that flow, that flow there. But if you decide, okay, you want to put the skip because obviously some people wouldn't want to use all their time to do that, then the skip should solely be somewhere here, right? And then we could have this over here instead, and we can use back. But since this is the first screen, um, of course there won't be anything there, so it's just going to be this way, and then you have your skip in this place. Now we'll probably also make this skip a bit more interesting, right? Probably make it as a button like this. Um, Let me see if I can do that. We'll probably make this as a button, or maybe just an outline button, or maybe change the color so that you know that it is something that is clickable. So you know that this is just a text, right? Then links, things that are clickable, like links in websites, they always look different. So you know that there's something different about it. There's something different about it. So maybe change the color or make it a button. But I don't want to make it a button because it's not a primary button there, right? So it may be an outline. But let's just use this. for now. I'm just using this as a quick stop. So let's just use this for now. And this is going to be in both places, of course, because we want to skip at any of this screen. And then here we could put back. We could put back here and put also put back there. Okay. So another thing to do also is to change this as well, right? And of course, we would have to use the proper status to indicate that. So, okay. So now we can clearly see the movement there. Another thing that we could do, probably use icon. Let me just quickly get let me just quickly get an icon. Let me just quickly do that myself. Sorry, I think it should be a line too. All right, maybe we could reduce the arrow if we wanted to, and yeah. So that's another way that we could do it. Let me just use your initial text format for that. And so for this one, we could talk about communication, right? Because we can see people are kind of like chatting. So you can see get in touch with your doctor anytime, anywhere. So this is also something that we could use. So basically, the onboarding normally is based on what you can, you know, offer. 304. So the onboarding is basically what you can offer the customer, right? So you should be clear on that. And so I have to do some bit of other thinking here, but thinking you're getting what I'm trying to say. And then the other one here would be these are just doctors. So we could say um highly qualified health professionals. So we could use this for this one. So the illustration also has a part to play in what the description now of that screen is about. So it's not just the drawing, right? So it should also have its own part to play. And so yeah, that's just that here. And the next thing would be Another thing that you could do here, because this trade, I think another thing could also make this thing much more better is trying to show a demarcation, right? Because this trade now are third party logins, so they have a connection. But these two here are different. They're different in the sense that you have to input some information. So there's a break now in the usage, or there's a break in how the buttons are interpreted. So creating that um creating that creating that distinction there would make it much better.